Hi, I'm Lisa. Welcome to my glass studio. In this video, I'd like to talk to you about firing guides and understanding glass fusing firing guides. A firing guide is a step-by-step plan that you follow with different segments. Segments are different steps that you follow in order to fire glass successfully. Now, glass is sensitive to temperature change between room temperature and 1,000 degrees, so we move slowly in that range. Above 1,000 degrees, you can move a little bit more quickly, and you take your glass to a target temperature or a process temperature. A target temperature, which is what I like to call it, or a process temperature, which you might hear from other sources, is the temperature you take the glass to get a specific result. So people ask me all the time, can I do slumping and fusing at the same time? Can I tack and slump at the same time? Can I tack and full fuse at the same time? And the answer is no. Because each of those steps, each of those target temperatures, each of those process temperatures are different. So each one of those techniques that you want to achieve, or the desired result that you want, is done at a different temperature. Therefore, they have to be done separately. So if you want to tack something together, then you want to slump it. You have to do it, and you have to basically fire that glass through the process in the kiln through a firing guide 2 separate times in order to achieve those specific results. Probably the most common type of firing is a full fuse. Now that's when you take the glass, you assemble your project, you put it in the kiln, and you heat it to the point where all the glass melts together and the surface is smooth. Layer 1 and layer 2 melt together, and the design elements on top melt down in, and everything is smooth, and you have rounded edges on the project. Very similar to this project right here, which is a full fuse process or target temperature. So at this temperature, everything has a uniform thickness and a beautiful shine and no texture. You know, all that has been fired out. So that's probably the most common firing. So this is a hotter temperature than some of the other processes. So that's why you can't do them at the same time, because your glass would not come out the way that you intended. On my website, I have a bunch of free resources for you, including firing guides and graphs. This is a downloadable PDF that you can access on my website for free, and it has my most common firing guides. So here I wanted to explain a little bit of what this information means. So this is a full fuse firing guide. Over here it shows you the shape and what you would expect from the finished project. Here are the segments. Segments are simply steps. Rate per hour is the temperature that you set the kiln to increase per hour. And then here's temperatures for 96 COE, temperatures for 90 COE, both in Fahrenheit and Celsius, and then hold time in minutes. So for segment number 1, our target temperature is 1,300 degrees for either COE. And we're going to hold there for 60 minutes. A hold means you hold the glass at that specific temperature to allow all the temperature within the kiln and within that project to equalize and become uniform before you go hotter. At this temperature, you will do what we call a bubble squeeze. Bubble squeeze is where you make all those different layers uniform in temperature to reduce any bubbles that might otherwise be trapped. If you go faster and you don't have this hold time, what can happen is the top layer will seal to the bottom layer around the perimeter like a suction cup. Air becomes trapped between those layers, and it can show up in your project in the form of tiny little bubbles. So by having this hold at 60 minutes at 1,300 degrees, you'll minimize the effect and the amount of those bubbles. Then segment number 2, we go at 300 degrees an hour, either to 1465 or 1480, and we hold there for 10 minutes. Now this segment number 2 is actually our target temperature for this program, or our process temperature, whichever term you'd like to use. And at this temperature, the hold for 10 minutes, we will get the desired result. And in this case, the desired result is a full fuse, something like this, where it's completely smooth. All your design elements are melted together. You have a smooth surface and beautiful rounded edges. Once you've achieved the desired result, and in this case it was a full fuse for this project over here, then we're going to slowly bring the glass back down to room temperature. Glass is sensitive to temperature change between 1,000 degrees and room temperature. So at 1465 for 96 COE, we've full fused this project. Now we need to bring it back to room temperature. So what we do is we follow another segment. Now don't worry, most kilns come with controllers where you can set this information into the controller and it stays there permanently in memory until you change it. So you don't have to remember this all the time. All you have to do is cycle through your programs and make sure you're using the right one for each time you fire to get the desired results. But you don't need to have all this stuff in permanent memory on your head because it's in your controller. Isn't that awesome? Now, if you do need to change your controller, you're going to reference this again in the future, but you don't have to worry about it each time. Just check your firing guides and maybe make a list for yourself saying, okay, number 1 is this program, number 2 is this program. You'll get the idea. At any rate, let's go to segment number 3. Remember, segments are steps. Segment number 3, we're going to fire at 500 degrees an hour, down to 950 for 96, down to 900. I'm going to move this over here where the lighting's a little bit better. Down to 900 for 90 COE, and we're going to hold there for 60 minutes. Now, at this temperature, 950 and 900, that's called the annealing phase. Annealing is when you allow that glass to sit at a certain temperature to relieve internal stress that's been created by bringing that glass and forcing it together. Think of it like they're married, and this is the honeymoon phase, and they've got to learn to live with each other, and they have to learn to relax and relieve any internal stress. That's what's happening here inside your kiln, inside your glass project. So just allow that. Now, how long you hold here is determined by how big the project is, how large it is, and how many numbers of layers, how thick it is. So this right here, this firing guide is for a project that's 12 inches in size, up 2 layers of glass plus accent. If you're going bigger, you're going to go slower. You're going smaller, you maybe could go faster, but reference guides, other people's firing guides, published guides to find out what works best for you and inside your kiln. Now, some kilns come pre-programmed, which is fabulous. Run with that until you want to make a change. All right, then let's look at segment 4. We're going to fire at 500 degrees an hour to 800, or 800 for either COE, and we're going to hold there for 10 minutes. Now, this hold is an additional period of time to allow that glass cool very slowly. Remember, we're below 1,000 degrees now, so we want to move as slow as possible. At this point, we're just going to leave the kiln closed and let it cool to room temperature on its own without opening it. No peeking. Peeking is not good. Wait, if you can't help but peek, leave the room, leave the studio, leave your house, go on a vacation, whatever. Don't peek, not good for your glass. Wait till it reads room temperature, which here right now might be about 78 degrees, maybe 80 degrees. So you want to wait for that. Be patient. It's really important. You'll be so happy if you do. So I always ask myself, okay, when I'm out there looking at my kiln, I say, what's more important to me in 6 weeks from now? That this project is successful or that I got to see it a few minutes earlier? And almost all the time I say to myself, well, in 6 weeks from now, I'm going to be happy I was patient and the project is successful and intact because it is not suffering from internal stress. So that's why you want to leave the kiln alone and let it cool to room temperature. All right, I would like to bring up a graph, this cool little thing we have here. Ta-da! Now we're really in the classroom. So this is target temp or process temp for 96 COE, 90 COE. Now, I don't have the best handwriting, and I'm hoping the glare is not bad from this big light we have here. But these are the different temperatures that you would achieve specific results. Let's start at the top, combing. Combing is when you take your hot glass and you draw a tool through it to rake it and give it a texture or a pattern. And that happens at 1600 degrees. All right, full fuse. Now this is for 96 COE, okay? 1465 Fahrenheit or 796 Celsius is full fuse for COE 96. So you can see why you can't do these two processes at the same temperature because they're quite a bit different from each other. 1425 is a contour fuse. Contour fuse is where you have a little more texture than you do with a full fuse, but not quite as much texture, as when you have a tack fuse, which is right here at 1365. So you can see this is why full fuse, tack fuse, right? So this is why you can't do these two steps at the same time because there's 100 degrees difference. So let's say you take your tack fuse temperature project to 1465, you're going to end up with something full fuse. Not going to be tacked at all. You're not going to have any texture. And then down here, 1300 is our fire polish and bubble squeeze. You saw that in the program I showed you a minute ago. And then 1265 Fahrenheit, 685 Celsius is our slump temperature for 96 COE. So you can see why you can't fuse and slump at the same temperature. If you put a project in the kiln to slump it and take it to this temperature, it's not going to conform to the mold. It's going to become a puddle. It's not going to be like a nice shape and conform. It's going to just melt down in and become a nice big fat puddle of melted, muddy, who knows what, but certainly not look like it's been slumped. So when people ask, can I do, why do I have to do more than one firing? This is why right here, because everything happens at its own specific temperature. And then here, 1000 degrees, glass is sensitive to temperature change, between here and here. So here and here we move slow. Here, in these ranges, we move at a rate that's appropriate for the size of the project, for the thickness of the project, and what desired target temperature or process temperature that we want. All right, those of you who are more artists than techies, those of you who are more artists than number people, those of you who love being creative with your hands and don't want to think about math, don't worry about any of this stuff. It's right here for you in these free firing guides on my website. So not only do I have the firing guides here and they have little visuals showing you the different effects that you can expect to achieve from those target temperatures, but check this out. Whoa. Okay, so we also have, right here we have tack and we have slump, but we also have these phenomenal graphs. And these graphs show you pictorially, visually, exactly why each of these process temperatures, target temperatures, specific results that you want to achieve need to be done at different temperatures. They're all right here laid out for you in black and white. And then in addition to that, over here we've got information on how to adjust a firing guide to achieve the results that you want. So I suggest that you change either the temperature by 5 degrees one way or the other, or change the whole time 5 minutes one way or the other, and change one thing at a time. Now, I'm not going to go into super detail here. This is all laid out for you on the website. You can check this out. It's free. Download it, read it right there, whatever you'd like to do. I'd like to just show you one more thing. I'm going to move this out of the way. And, okay, so this right here is something that is only tacked together. Okay, this is just taken to the tack temperature. And here's a project. In completion, we call this one Scatterbrained, is one of my YouTube videos. This project, it was only fired one time to a tack fuse temperature, and it's something we kind of think we might like to hang on the wall. So you can achieve a finished project with a tack fuse temperature. All right, these right here, these were only taken to the slumping temperature. And these projects are 1/4 inch clear glass, and you might make something like that and use it to create a beautiful stand for a piece of art. So these are only one firing, but slumping temperature. This represents only one firing, but full fuse. So 1465, 1365, 1265, all different. Now that's Fahrenheit for 96 COE. Over here, this project was tacked first, like this, and then slumped. So it was taken to this temperature first, and then taken to this temperature. So it was fired 2 different times. When you fire something the second time, you still have to go slow. You still have to go slow between room temperature and 1000 degrees because the glass is still sensitive, even though it's already been through the kiln one time on the second time. All right, this project right here is from my Simple Pleasures video, and it's called Focus. I think it's called Succulent. It's just a spectacular piece. This was fired 2 times. The first time was full fuse to melt all the pieces of glass together. The second time was a slump to give it this beautiful contour and the shape that makes it look graceful and just lovely to display. All right. Now we have this project right here, which is one of my premium video membership projects. And this one is called Ride the Wave. This project was fired, represents 3 firings. Firing 1, full fuse like this to melt all the glass together. Firing 2, tack fuse to affix all these beautiful little dots and retain that texture. Can you see the texture on there? How beautiful that is? All right, and then firing number 3, it was put back in the kiln to slump it and give it this beautiful shape. You can see that shape right there. The base layer, I'm sorry, am I moving it too fast? The base is 2 layers of clear glass that were full fused together. This contoured piece and the base are glued together. I like to use E6000 adhesive. You can use any adhesive that works for you or use that one. So this one represents 3 firings. If you include this, this was also fired separately, independently, and then they're glued together. So a lot of information here, I know. I know it's overloading. I know it's overwhelming and your brain is doing one of these, right? Mine is too. Oh my gosh. I'm an artist first, scientist second, or actually scientist way, way down the line. I do my science because I want to do my art and it's a necessity. And I love my art, so I do it. And for those of you out there who are like that as well, fine, don't stress over it. You've got the information readily available to you. All the manufacturers have their own information like this. There are other artists out there who publish similar things. So you've got plenty of information out there. You don't have to be the scientist and figure this stuff out. You just have to know where to look for it and find it. And I'm telling you right now, you can find it on my website. So go there and check that out. Also, your kiln is likely going to hold and retain this information so you don't have to remember it every time. You just make yourself a little menu for your kiln. Say, okay, program number 1 will achieve this target temperature with this result. Program number 2 will this, and so on down the line. So my goal here is to give you a little more insight into the workings of the firing guide, what it's doing, and why you might want to look into it a little more deeply in the future if you want to make changes or if there's something specific that you want to make. Now you know where to get that information so that you can have the knowledge, the confidence, and the desirability to make these changes and make those different, more advanced and exotic projects. Thanks for joining me. I hope I didn't blow your mind with all of that and that you understand that this stuff is really simple when you are applying it to something that you want to do. That's when you have the desire to actually understand this stuff. And if you're firing your stuff at someone's studio and they're doing it for you, fabulous. But now maybe you want to take a little more action. Maybe you want to be a little more involved. Maybe not. That's okay. Whatever you like to do, just keep having fun and enjoying yourself. I want to thank you for joining me. Please visit my website to get this type of information. We also have a new category for beginner fusers, a category for free videos for beginning fusers. It's got all the stuff you need there so you can get a nice handle on what it is we're doing and why you might like to do more of it. So again, thanks for joining me. Please follow and subscribe my YouTube channel. That way you'll know about all my new videos when they come out. And please consider becoming a premium video member. We have exclusive content and new videos coming out all the time. We would love to have you join us. So please consider doing that. You can join on my website. And until next time, happy fusing.